Hello, everybody. Okay, it's the top of the hour, so we could get started. Welcome everyone to the August Spotlight. Excited to share some updates with you all today. And we will be starting with updates from Irmela, and then transition into some Huron Workday integration updates and end with staffing updates and any questions that are outstanding from the group. So, Irmela, would you like to get started?
Yeah, absolutely. Can I share my screen, Meredith, please? So while Meredith is giving me access to share my screen, I just have, you know, two reports to share with the team. And these are basically reports that, probably some of you are already using, but these are very useful tool that finance reporting team has given us. So just need to share those two reports, and then I'm going to hand it off to Marybeth. She has very, very important information about the integration project that's been going on. So now we often get service Ask Finance tickets sent to us because a spend category is not allowed on a grant. And the initiators of the transactions, they get really confused as to why, a grant is not being accepted in their transaction listing when they're, let's say, they're setting up a requisition and they select this grant, GRO 16636, and they get an error message that the transaction is not going through. So there is a report in Workday. It's called FDM-grants-allowed spend categories. So if you just type in FDM grants or FDM allowed spend categories, you should be able to pull up this report. You will enter your grant ID and then hit OK. And then you're going to get to see the life cycle status of the grant and the allowed spend categories on the grant. So this report will come in handy when, and quickly show you whether the grant is on spending hold or grant is closed or grant is still active. However, the spend category you're selecting is not allowed. So you can actually, enter your spend category value and filter it to see if it's allowed or not allowed on the grant. So this is, a real quick report to get your answers for any kind of, error messages that you're getting on transactions. Of course, there are a whole lot of other reasons why a transaction can error out. Unfortunately, we couldn't include the grant start and end date or the award line start and end date to show the period of performance of the grant in this particular report. But you can actually go and pull up the grant if you want to see the start and end date of the grant when you're trying to select the grant on a transaction. So this is one report. And now I'm going to talk about our cost center grant hierarchies. So you have been providing information to Marybeth to set up the grant rules for the cost center grant hierarchies. I just wanted to share some Workday reports and your ClickSense report. So I'm going to go and show you how to find the grant hierarchy. If you select the grant, or you can select, just by view grant hierarchy and enter your either by grant hierarchy, or there are other reports where you can enter your cost center and you can get to find out the grant hierarchy that belongs to your cost center. So this is for cost center 0442, and I selected the grant hierarchy to see what is the parent hierarchy associated with this cost center. So when you see that there is a parent hierarchy, you cannot assign roles to the parent hierarchy. Just, keep that in mind. So when you're assigning the roles, and this goes for, OSP, pre-award, as well as post-award also, parent hierarchy should not carry any kind of roles or any kind of names associated with the parent hierarchy. So now, this is, I just wanted to show you how you can look up your grant hierarchy and see who are assigned to the grant hierarchy. And this you can do through Workday. Now, there is another report that Nancy has created. So Nancy, do you want to just jump in and talk about this FDM grant reference report?
All right, well, this is a report that the reports team actually created. And with the grant reference report, so you can scroll across and you can see the grant hierarchies that are attached to your post award, to your cost sharing. You can see your BU grant hierarchy, cost center grant hierarchy. All of this will come in once everything's attached to your grants, and you'll see it. So this is a good way to double check. Okay, if I have a new employee and someone has left, you must update your roles on the grant hierarchies at the cost center, because those are going to be attached, and that's going to be within the next week or two, correct, Mary Beth?
We could hope.
We're hoping. And once they're attached to the grants, we're not going to assign grant roles to the grants per se. They're going to be inherited from your grant hierarchy. And so this is really, really important. And I can't express how important this is. But if someone's leaving, please check this report. Check to see who is assigned. If you scroll over, you can see, I do believe you can see who's assigned. Maybe it's the other report, but I think you can. Yeah, grant financial analyst, grant account. And then you're going to see inherited from grant hierarchy. That would be the roles that are from the grant hierarchy. And it will also tell you their position number and their name, which is kind of nice. But if you see this blank, once we attach the grant hierarchies to the grants, please submit a request to have someone in there even temporarily. We must have these roles filled at all times. It's very important. And another thing I'm just going to say real quick, if you are the sponsored programs manager at the cost center, this is a very important role because they are the alternate approver for the grant managers. They shouldn't be the same person. And if they are, we have an audit problem, and all of your transactions if someone is initiating and they're the grant manager, it's going to go to the alternate approver, because an initiator cannot, of course, do their own approving, and that's a problem. So that's an audit issue. So I highly recommend, if you have a small department, to make sure you have a couple of people in each role or something, so you can approve for each other. But try to keep whoever is the sponsored programs manager, not the grant manager within your cost center.
Correct.
But this is a great report for you to look at this. Back to you, Irma.
Thank you. So this report I pulled up by the cost center, but you can actually, pull it up by your PI name, your grant manager role, your award life cycle status. So this gives you, a lot of options to pull up the grant information in Workday again. Now, the other report that, again, designed by our reporting team, it's called Award and Grant Assigned Roles Audit. So this one actually shows you by the grant number, and you can see the award lifecycle status, your lead PI, and all the roles associated with the grant. And also you can see the missing roles. So this is another award grant assigned roles audit report. Again, this is available in Workday. You can just type in award and grant and you're going to get a selection, and you can just select this report, or you can go to Grants Management Spotlight reports and you will be able to pull up this report also. So again, this report can be run by cost center hierarchy, or I just selected the cost center, and the award status, I went in and I unselected, closed, or converted statuses, and I ran it open for this cost center. So this is another way to look at your grants and the role assignment on the grants. So any questions, anybody? Now I'm going to move away from Workday, and I have come to the ClickSense report, and this has been designed by Mary Beth with the help of our UBI folks. So I'm hoping that you are already very familiar with this ClickSense report, and you can actually see at your MBU level, you can select. So I selected School of Architecture, and I get to see all the architecture departments. So you can, just go in and select either by your grant hierarchy if you want to see who is assigned what role under that cost center grant hierarchy. You can just go and select through this magnifier symbol, and then you get to see your pre-award, your post-award assignments, and your departmental assignments. This is not a very friendly report. I don't know how to navigate the scroll bar, unfortunately. So
Yeah, there's a lot of information in those in that middle section. But if you want to back out of what you did up at the very top, there's a little box with an X that'll get you back to baseline. And then when you pick something, it turns green.
so you can select your department's name over here.
Mhm.
Does it? Okay, so here, see, this scrolling is like,
It's too tiny. It's very tiny.
and sometimes you can't even find it properly. Okay, so this is how you look it up.
Mhm. Yeah, so that middle section that Irma is scrolling on, the identifying information, is something that we have created through just an Excel. It's primarily used by my team, but also to identify if there's multiple hierarchies for the same cost center, which hierarchy belongs where. The bottom three boxes, the manager, financial analyst, and certifier, are from Workday directly. So if someone falls off one of your grants because they left the position, it would be blank in one of those boxes. Certifier can be blank as long as in the middle box we have PI certifier equals yes.
And then revenue allocation profile is also here.
Correct. So I would suggest usually the best way to go about it is to search by cost center. So you could hit the magnifying glass by the cost center up top, type in your cost center and hit the green check. And as you can see with this cost center is a great example. this department has two different hierarchies depending on the type of award. They created a separate hierarchy for the U54. And so if you want to drill down further, then you would need to pick which hierarchy you want to look at. So let's say you were doing a U54, you wanted to look at the roles for the U54, you could pick that group B, you could click on group B for that one.
This one?
You don't even have to hit the magnifying glass. You could also just
Oh,
click on
on
it
that.
directly.
Okay.
Yep. So this then shows you, it narrows it down to just the roles for that specific hierarchy.
So this is very important for us, for the financial folks, because you need to have a grant account certifier identified. It could either be the grant manager or the grant PI. And then this is also another very important information that is required while setting up the award, because if your revenue allocation profile is incorrect, then the FNA revenue goes somewhere else. So you really do need to pay attention when you receive a notice of award set up from our pre-award folks when they create the new award. The grants, are they set up with the right revenue allocation profiles? So these are just some reviews that you can do after you receive the notice of award from either system generated or directly from pre-award. So, because recently we went through a process of cleaning up FNA revenue allocation profile, and believe me, it requires a lot of journal entries, and it took a very long time for School of Medicine and School of Engineering to clean up their revenue allocation profiles. So it's always good to make sure that the grants are associated with the right revenue allocation profiles.
Laura, any other questions?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask if you could just quickly remind us how we request corrections or changes to the hierarchies or the roles in general.
So there are two different processes. So for the roles on a hierarchy, you can use the Workday System Access request. Nancy would tell you to please make sure you're picking the grant hierarchy, not the business unit hierarchy. We do not want any roles on the business unit hierarchy. So you need to make sure that you're looking specifically at the one that's connected to your cost center that you're changing the roles on.
Not this.
Not anything with a BU in it. And then if it's a problem with the hierarchy itself or a request for a new hierarchy, right now, both info team and I are kind of managing that. So you could start with sending an email to me. After integration is over, I know Shanika and I are going to get together and write out a formal process so they could just go straight to info team. But for now, I'm happy to help if there is an update for a hierarchy. But yeah, for the roles, just use the system access request.
So just to clarify, if somebody leaves a position and we need to replace them in the hierarchy, do we contact you or info team, or that's not a situation where we would submit a system access request, right?
That's when you would submit the system access request,
right,
in Workday.
Okay.
And so think about it as in Workday, your hierarchies are attached to positions. And so if someone leaves a position, but you backfill it the very same day, then that's going to happen in the back end on Workday because it's the position number staying the same. But usually that's like not the real world. So someone leaves a position, that position becomes unfilled for a period of time. And so then you've got a blank in your hierarchy. So you need to put in a temporary person to cover until you backfill that position if you plan on backfilling it. Does that make sense?
And so that is an access request to do the temporary fill.
Yep, that's a system access request.
So
the only
that's
thing that the only thing that would come to me is if you're asking for a new hierarchy, that would come to me.
So for example, if somebody leaves a position and the person that you hire, you don't want to take over all of those roles, you would need a new hierarchy or to change the hierarchy you have.
Yep.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Other
So
questions?
always remember, Lauren, that when we are assigning somebody as a grant manager, that person has to go through central IT for the proper security role to be created for that person within the system, and then that person can be assigned a grant role. So that's how it works.
So I know Nancy said this very quickly, but to make sure everyone understood and heard, right now, Info Team and I are working on a very large project to take all the active grants that had roles manually assigned and flip them to their hierarchy. So I think Lauren, I have an email out to School of Medicine about some where I need some decisions made because we didn't have a hierarchy connected to the PI. But for everyone else, just be aware that your grant roles are going to change and be directly linked to the hierarchies in the very near future. So if you have any questions about that, use these reports that Irmela showed. Contact us, we can help out. But that is hopefully something that's going to be done by the end of the month.
Do we, if we know that our roles are in good shape right now, do we have to be part of that process?
Yes, we need everything to switch to hierarchies because remember, when something's assigned manually to a grant, you have to manually fix it one grant at a time. If we switch it to the hierarchy, then the hierarchy can be updated once and it will fix all of the grants linked to that hierarchy.
Okay, I'm mostly just asking for us specifically because I have a suspicion that putting things into the hierarchy means that we're gonna have to do some cleanup after the fact for specific stuff.
So yeah, so I would suggest, Amanda, run that report, the FDM reference grants report, and take a look. And if there's an extra hierarchy that you need because you didn't anticipate this, then let's work together and get that done. But we're trying to get this all cleaned up really soon because it creates a lot of extra work for Nancy when roles fall off.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Was
So,
that it, Irmela?
Mary Beth, yes. Now, the important topic. Come
Yeah,
on.
well, roles are an important topic as well that will never probably leave. So yeah, so let's move on to integration updates. Okay, update on integration. Integration for new awards is occurring to eliminate the double data entry. So we have been talking about integration for quite a long time, but I know that there's new people joining us all the time. So if you are new and you don't know what integration is, it's this process where instead of doing manual double data entry in Huron and in Workday Financials, my team will enter it once in Huron, and then the system will send it over, the integration process will send it over to Workday. It's going to expedite it and also remove kind of manual double data entry errors, so keying errors. So the process is mostly the same except for one step, that pending activation step. So in draft state in Huron, that's when the award setup is initiated. My team is piloted using designated review status for when something's on hold. So if you are logging in and you see that status, you know that there's something missing that your award setup is waiting on. Final review is that final QC of award setup. That's usually one of the seniors on the team or Sam Bryant, the award setup manager, doing the final review in QC. And the new step is that pending activation. So you will see that status in Huron. That's when integration's actually occurring. So we hit that activate button. It goes into a pending activation status. And the award is going through a series of validation checks. Those validation checks are a combination of ones that we created specifically for integration, along with validation checks that have been in Workday financials and in Huron since we implemented the systems. So on a future slide, you'll see an example of a validation check of a federal award that needed the CFDA ALN number. So that is basically a way to help us QC the work systematically. And then the last step, the award turns active. So this is a recent win. We thought we would have to do a manual step to activate the award in Workday, and we were able to get it to a place where we could have it activate simultaneously in both systems. So that'll save a lot of time as well. Okay. So go live timeline. We are truly actually going live in August. I'm really excited. So we did user acceptance testing all last month, and it went really well. I really need to do a big shout out to the award setup team and the rest of the pre-award team, because June was devoted to fiscal year close. July was devoted to testing, the user acceptance testing process. And now we're moving on to getting ready for go live. So it's been a very busy few months here. August 5th through 16th. So this week and next week are going to be preparation for go live and what's called smoke testing. Smoke testing is basically us working with Huron to do some dry runs in our stage environment. Assuming those dry runs go well, which they should, because we did all of that user acceptance testing, we will go live on the evening of August 22nd into August 23rd. And so on August 22nd, after hours, the system is going to go down. And when I say the Huron system is going to go down, it means everything. It means agreements, proposals, conflict of interest, all of it. The plan and the goal is that it will only be down through the afternoon of August 23rd. So what will happen, just like the dry runs that are occurring the next couple weeks, Huron will do their piece, their patch, their code change, and then my team will go into production environment and process some real awards that we've held for this very purpose. If those go through and there are no errors and integration worked, then we're going to give the thumbs up, the green light, say good to go, and the maintenance page will come down, and then Huron will be up and running again. Because award setup can take some time, we're anticipating that it will be all morning. We also have other checks we're going to be doing on the back end. Info team will be checking reporting. We have data fields that will be populated as part of this, so we're going to be checking those data fields. So there's a lot of steps to make sure that the new version of Huron is working as desired. If in the worst case scenario, it's not working as desired, then we have to backtrack and put it back to where it was before go live. And that's when the system might be down for the entire weekend. So again, another visual reminder, the next 2 weeks are go live prep. We are strongly suggesting that you get everything in by August 21st. That leaves one buffer day of August 22nd to make sure that everything is in for an August 23rd deadline. So if you have an agreement that you need fully executed by August 23rd, it has to be done before then. If you have proposals that are due August 23rd, there's no secret way into the system to submit a system-to-system proposal. They all need to be done before the 23rd to make sure that we get them submitted. Okay, so some other questions that I know are on everyone's mind. Do you need to prepare for major system downtime? No. Outside of that Friday, August 23rd, there's not going to be downtime or a blackout period. It's just the Friday, August 23rd that you need to plan for no access to the system. Huron awards and modifications are not going to be impacted by this go live. And so we were thinking for a while that we would have to withdraw or approve all in-flight modifications. Thanks to some feedback from the core team and rate, we were able to work with Huron to not have to do that. So anything that's in flight, it's okay that it's in flight. It won't be impacted, and we can pick it up after go live. And then will processing times be extended? No, we don't expect significant delays due to integration prep or go live on processing times. After go live, do the schools and units need to do anything different? So what's impacting your world? Really nothing. If you have a sponsor award document, you still send it to OSP NOA. If you have a modification request, you still use the award AMR process. So no change from the school or unit perspective after go live. How can you check on the status of your award setup? We really want to encourage people to use the Huron system to check on the status. And so the next few slides will actually show you and walk through some ways that you can check on things in Huron. And then last, how will I know that our award is active? So for new awards, as I said earlier, activation is going to happen simultaneously. An email is only going to go out from Workday now. So we removed the double emails that were happening before. You're just going to get that Workday email sent to the PI and grant managers. The Huron notification is inactivated. I'll pause there for a second. Any questions so far on the go live timeline? Okay. So, okay, understanding these award status messages and states. So if you're in Huron and you go to the draft awards tab, so out of your dashboard, going to draft awards, you're going to see things that are in triage and initial setup. So the process on my team is going to stay the same. The specialist will receive the NOA either from OSP NOA if it's unilateral, or a fully executed agreement from a negotiator or the senior admin. The specialist will then create the shell of the award and reassign it to an award setup admin. So those awards are going to be draft awards. The award setup admin is going to do their initial review and do as much of the award setup as they can. In that review, if they come across something that stops the award from moving forward, so missing approvals, missing compliance, the need for a budget breakdown, all those different things that are in that new award setup email, they're going to be reaching out to you the same way they do now and putting that award in designated review, which will switch it to the awards and review tab. So on the awards and review tab, you're going to see things in designated review and final review. For things in designated review, they're on hold. The name of the award will give you some information. So if it's one thing that's needed, like the IRB, it's going to say hold IRB. But you could also drill down and go into the award itself and look at that history tab. When someone sends it for designated review, they're going to leave a comment about what's missing. I'll show you that comment in a second. Just to note that final review, that's that last step. We're doing RQC before we activate the award. So when it gets to that stage, it's close to being activated. So here's an award after you drill into it in designated review state. So you're going to the middle screen, that history tab, and you're going to see an activity submitted for designated review that will tell you why it's on hold. So that requested detailed budget was a reason for this one being on hold. and the IRB approval. After go live, you're also going to see pending activation state on the awards and review tab. Those are ones that are actively in the middle of the code checks and the validation checks and being sent to Workday. And so if you happen to open an award that is in pending activation, you might see this financial integration status section on the award. That is for OSP pre-award. There's no action needed from the units to help us with this. It is our validation checks. And we would go in and make some adjustments in the Huron form before resending it to Workday. So again, these are some of the validations that we built in to help our business process go much smoother, and for our data to be accurate. And then it becomes active. Woohoo. Once it's active, there are ways in which you as the end user can search for information in Huron. We have added as part of integration the Workday award number as a searchable filter field, and then also as a column in the active awards tab of Huron. So if you for some reason can't remember your AWD number, but you remember your Huron award number, you can search for your AWD here. Or vice versa, if you know your AWD, but you want to look at something in Huron. I note that this is for Huron users that have access to the items that they're looking for. This is still access-based, so it's based on what you can see and edit. If you open up the award, there's also some additional changes that happen after activation. So the AWD number will be auto-added to the name. So we currently manually add the AWD now. That's going to happen through a script after go live. And then the GR is going to be added to the financial setup award lines at the beginning of the grant name. And then also within that smart form view, there's a field specifically for the GR. So again, if you are looking at an award, you're not sure which GR, but you are in Huron, you can find it here. I don't suspect that many of you will use this because you're more on the Workday side of looking things up. But for my team, it makes it really straightforward to help us process modifications on these awards. Okay, so that really sums up all the updates. One final slide, just full of reminders. Go live the evening of August 22nd. All Huron modules are going to be down that 23rd, Friday the 23rd. Proposals, we really strongly suggest you get them in by the 21st. If something goes really wrong, the system will be down for the weekend. And after go live, really no process change. Hopefully you'll just see benefits of awards being created faster and less errors and data cleanup needed after the fact. Okay, so I'll stop there. Any questions I can help answer? Ian?
Yeah, am I understanding this correctly? There won't be any option to search on Huron after the go live starts by the work tag number. The GR number won't be searchable.
Fortunately not. We tried, and so it's not something that we can search on, but the AWD will still be searchable.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. It was a nice to have that didn't work out. Other questions?
I actually have a question, clarification question. You mentioned that in the process, the Huron notification was going away and the notifications are going to be sent through Workday.
Correct.
To the PI and the grant manager. And then previously, when we were talking about the roles, you mentioned, or I think maybe Nancy had shared that the role for grant manager should not be the same as the the sponsored program grant manager.
Correct.
However, in my unit, I am both for my cost center. So as long as we have someone else listed with me as grant manager, are
Yep.
we okay? Okay.
Right, Nancy?
Yes, as long as Karen isn't the one initiating the transaction, we're okay. That's the main thing. If you are the one initiating the transaction, then it's going to go to the sponsored programs manager to approve. And if it goes to the sponsored program manager to approve and you're the only one listed, then we're going to have an audit issue.
Okay.
Because you're the initiator. So sometimes it's good to have two sponsored programs managers, or just so someone can approve for that grant manager.
Okay, thank you.
Person, I mean, like if you have some people have themselves listed as functional analyst, as the finance analyst, the grant finance analyst, and the grant manager, and that's a problem too if they're initiating transactions, right? Even though the grant financial analyst is really the preparer of the account certs, but if they also can initiate transactions with other roles, that can also be an issue. If they're both the grant manager too. So you have to think of it as a okay, so let's say the grant financial analyst initiates a transaction, any transaction, and there's a BP, a business process that is going to the next approver. And when it comes to the grant, it's going to go to the grant manager. If they're the same person, audit issue. If the grant manager is initiating the transaction, then it will go to the sponsored programs manager. And if they're the same person as the grant manager, again, an audit issue. And every transaction would go to unassigned tasks, which means as someone in the support team, we will go in, we will look up each transaction, we will go in and look at your grant hierarchy to see if there's someone else to assign. We'll look at all the grant roles. We'll try to figure out, okay, we're looking at this expense report, who initiated it, right? And then we go through the whole bit. And it takes us, a few minutes for each one. And when you have 100 of them, it's a little difficult. But anyway, it's really important to have the roles in check and just think through it. And then figure out, okay, you're a small department, then go ahead and have a couple of people in each role so you can help each other by approving.
Thank you.
Okay, well, we have one more agenda topic. Oh, was there a question, Lauren?
I just was really quickly going to ask, and I might have missed this and you might have said it, but you mentioned putting the awards in designated review. Is the expectation then that to get those items or those needed pieces back to your team, that the admin contact has to go in and send them back through request changes?
No, I actually didn't even bring that up. We were looking
Okay.
at it yesterday. So what Lauren is mentioning is that when we put something in designated review, so let's say Andrew on Sam's team is working on it, he puts it in designated review under his name. The department unit admin contact has the ability to go in and get it out of designated review. So push it back to Andrew to finish. We might review that as a potential process update in the future, but for now, standard process. If you get an email that something's on hold, you can respond by email. That's fine, but future state, perhaps we'll look into using that designated review request changes.
Okay, thanks. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Thanks.
Of course. Okay, so a few staffing updates from OSP on the pre-award team. I think almost a month ago now, we had Jake Huff start. He's a specialist on the team, along with Jenna and Zach and Eric. So you might see his name. And then Emily Wallace's first day back from maternity leave was today. So anyone who's worked with Emily, one of our senior admins, and she was previously a ward setup, she is now back and getting her feet wet again. So excited to have her back. Armela, were there any updates on staffing for post-award?
No, and nothing thus far. We do have an open position, and we are going through our interview process. This is in School of Engineering, trying to replace Ebony Turner. So we are almost, there to hire somebody, but we will make the announcement during our next Spotlight meeting.
Perfect. And then Lynn, contracts update.
Yeah, thank you very much. So two aspects here. First of all, we do have posted a contract negotiator position. So this is it can handle any of the schools actually. So if you know of anybody who may be a good fit for us, please send them to the posting. It's live on the UVA jobs site. And unfortunately, the reason it's there is that we are saying goodbye to a wonderful colleague, Sarah Cole. Many of you know Sarah. She's been our smoke jumper, basically. She's been parachuting in to put out various fires, and her portfolio's covered, at various times, different schools. So I know she knows a great number of you who might be on this meeting. So we wish Sarah all the best, and thank her for all of her hard work and dedication. So thank you.
Thanks, Lynn. I just noticed Melissa had a comment in the chat. Will agreements and funding proposals be available after go live? Yes. If you started something before go live, no change to those. They'll still be there after go live. Okay, well, if there are no further questions, this is the end of our spotlight for this month. We'll be sending out the newsletter with a recap of all of this, the PowerPoint slides, the recording, and reach out if you think of a question. Have a good day, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.